I think my themes are always been about gender violence. I understood that it's not just me talking about the stories of these women that I have heard, but I had to really get immersed in the community. And DC gave me the wonderful opening. I'm Marta Perez Garcia. I'm Puerto Rican. I love to do art. I don't like to call myself an artist because I think that's like, it's kind of like a stamp that I don't like. I remember when I was really young, I didn't know what to do. I graduated from my senior year. I said, what are you gonna do? I said, I don't know. I like to really say what I have to say, to reflect about things. And I was a really bad writer. And I say, the only thing that I can do, I think I'm kind of good drawing. And I think with my imagery, I can tell stories. And I think that's how I study art. I'm from Puerto Rico, and I think the stories about feminicide in Puerto Rico is big numbers, and I always tell the story about when I was really young. I remember a story of this woman that got killed, and that really touched me. I was like, how can you even wonder why? So I remember I took 40 hours of classes, of how to really understand the stories of these women, how to talk to them, and I think that if something I learned in the process is that we don't listen to each other a lot. So I did workshops with these women. So I thought, what I want to do, I'm going to do something that has to be related to the body. A lot of these women are being through violence in their kids. I wanted to do a figure, so I thought, let's do this figure that they can represent themselves. So I thought, what material? And I thought, okay, I'm going to work with paper because I'm going to do this kind of figure. So I thought pantyhose. And what pantyhose brings is for me, is this material that women use to kind of cover themselves, to present themselves. So then I could see the reference to the dolls. And then I could really see how they really want to represent them, how they really was sewing these dolls as themselves with the color hair. They really wanted them to look like them because they understood that these dolls were going to represent them in this installation, and it gave them the power of really be free. I brought it to Puerto Rico, I did it in DC, then you can see the similarities of stories. How it doesn't matter country to country. What happened to women in this violence is very similar. And then it came the pandemic, It was what's gonna happen to these women that go inside the aggressors. So what I did I did a drawing in this 11 feet by 4 feet linoleum of this design that was related to that. And I left a space around because I wanted to know how many women were killed in that year. But for me, it was important to put the names, to give them a place, to give them, they don't have a voice anymore, but to give them a presence. What I saw that every week, I was writing 1 to 3 names. So then you really, not just writing the names, but to really understand the numbers of feminicide that happen every week in the pandemic. In Puerto Rico, not just in the pandemic, it happened for many years. For me, it was a really wake-up call. It was wow. And then when I finished this print, I thought, I need to give a present to this woman somehow. So I think I jumped from the workshop that I did with the dolls that was more two-dimensional to do something that was, that took a space of the torsos, of the bodies of these women that don't have a voice. I thought about this woman, so every single torso that I did has a story, has a name somehow. And every single torso has a spine as well. As you see in here, I use many different objects that I incorporated with the paper. One of the ones that I thought was very important and very relevant to gender violence or violence is bullet shells. How these women sometimes are being through violence with the aggressors, and they go to the police and they try to put a restraint order, and that restraint order either can take a long time or that never happened. And what do you think is going to happen when the aggressor has a gun? So I wanted to really put some objects to reflect about all that. For me, it was really important to put the trans women in these torsos in this exhibition that I did in the Philip collection. I worked with a group of trans women in Puerto Rico and in DC when I was doing the dolls, and I understood the invisibility that they feel. It's not just that if they go through violence that they have to tell the story, but for them to tell the story about violence and to be visible in a community is very hard. If you ask me that if my art changed, I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm working with them because we all have a story, and I think we all share. And I think when we're walking hand to hand and we're working together, we're walking somewhere. And when we feel that our stories in some ways, like they cross each other, then it's some power to that. That's gonna be the change. It should be my sexy story, but because I talk about a lot of stories, this is our sexy stories.